Well, hello everybody. How are you doing today, night, whatever time of place in the world you are? I am Jedi Granville, and this is Jedi Granville Productions, and we're doing another segment on this channel called Takasasu Corner with a special guest of mine, Mr. Daniel Miller, or as we call him, the Professor.
Good evening.
And I like the background that you have back there. Very foreboding. I like that. That's
Why, thank you very much, Mr. Ross.
yes. All right then. Well, we are here to discuss something that I think most, whoever is a, kaiju or monster aficionado, whatever, and it's a film that I think rarely gets any hype because, let's be honest, it's not too much out there, and we'll just get into the subject of it, which is this film, KRONOS, which is a 1957 black and white B-movie for the 50s, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of unique, I mean, it's very unique for what it was and what it is. And
Absolutely.
I don't know if you know this, Professor, but this film was well, let's be honest. Most of the films back then during the 50s, especially if they were B types, they tend to be very low key in terms of budget. They
Oh, yeah.
the budget that they have were so low, they had to really improvise. I'm pretty sure this is not in coordinates with like the first Gojira, which was a little bit more, how can I say, they had money, but not as much as probably even the United States. But what they used was
Mhm.
they stretched it, and here is no exception here.
That's
So,
right.
question: when did you first hear or saw Kronos in your lifetime?
Now, I heard about Kronos when I was watching Godzilla 8 again for the first time on the DVD from Classic Media. The
Okay.
English dub, which was Gigantis the Fire Monster, actually has music from Kronos, which was released 2 years earlier. And
Right.
that from there, because to me, the soundtrack, because I like listening to movie soundtracks, the opening theme stuck out to me in the opening of Gigantis. And then I found out years later on it was from a movie called Kronos, which I found out was composed by two composers, if I can
Yes.
remember their names correctly without butchering them.
No, I think you'll be able to get them. It's
Yeah, oh, yeah, here they are. They're a they're a the frequently collaborators Paul Sawtell and Bert Schefter, who
yes.
after this would work together on Irwin Allen's 1960 remake of The Lost World.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. See, that's something
Mm.
I wasn't aware of Curry about with these two because, like I say, you hear this as you say the music. I mean, and that, like I say, when I first saw Godzilla Raise Again, that music, and it was of course, the American cut. That
Mm.
music stood out hardcore for me. I'm just like, that's a very distinguished and very, you know, outstanding kind of, music. And I was like, well, it's grabbing you, it's holding on to you, and it's like, okay, good, cool, no big deal. Now the question comes into mind is when you did find out that the music was from another film, what did you think about that?
I heard the soundtrack in full, and I was like, "Wow, for a 50s movie, this is incredible. I need to find where this movie is." So I
Mhm.
was looking on Amazon, hoping to find it on DVD, only to find that it's gone out of print,
Yeah.
unfortunately, which a lot of great movies, whether they be B movies or instant classics, unfortunately, that's what happens. And it turns out that although this was done by Regal Pictures, but it was released through 20th Century Fox, I would think they would at least have some legal ownership of that and at some point give it a DVD or even a Blu ray release. But now, since it's under Disney, I think it's forgotten further.
Oh, really?
Or,
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
or worst case scenario, someone in Hollywood sees this movie and is like, yeah, let's remake this, but then just do it completely wrong, which I hope they don't.
Oh, when you said that, that just gave me a very bad vibe because that's the
Mm,
problem with Hollywood now. It's like You remake everything, and I wouldn't mind seeing a remake of this, but to
Hmm.
me, if you did a remake of this, as you said, you're gonna go all, I mean, pretty much CGI'd all the stuff, and
Yeah.
everything's gonna be just like, oh wow, I can tell that's a virtual set. Hey, that's a virtual model. It's like nothing is practical anymore.
Yeah.
But it
And
speaks which about you say the DVD, this is the one that I have. And
oh,
I actually got this, believe it or not, I got this almost 20 years ago, the
oh,
DVD. So I mean, I can understand you look trying to find, and you would think that's the rub right there. You mentioned it about this. The simple fact that this film could have easily now, and I've been seeing a lot of films that were kind of hyped up or still being in the back of legends in terms of it being a film that we hear about, but you don't see too much. You would
yeah.
think it would be on some kind of physical display to say for individuals like you and me to buy, especially you would think it would be on Blu-ray by now, you think it would
Yeah.
be on that. But that's crazy, I mean, and then you say Disney is involved with the
Uh,
ownership.
no, I'm saying that because on the end credits it says released through 20th Century Fox,
Right.
and since Disney bought Fox, it's now become 20th Century Studios. So
Yes.
if an actual film, if an actual copy of the 35 millimeter print exists, chances are it's probably within what used to be Fox's vaults, but it's probably lost somewhere. So we don't know, put simply.
And we already know how Hollywood standards are. It's like if it ain't gonna make us no money, we're not gonna treat it as much, put so much money behind it just to say release it on a physical medium. It's like that's the
Yeah.
case, and that's
But
sad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, but I'd actually make an argument for KRONOS because this movie, when you think about it, it was ahead of the curve when it turned the concept of an alien invasion on its head, which we'll talk about when we talk about the synopsis later on.
As we get into it, right?
Hmm.
Well, why we're saying this, my first time seeing this film was back. I can't even say it was back when I got the DVD. It was actually back like during the 2000s. I mean, and I just kind of happened to hear about it. And I say, you know what? I want to really watch this film, and I don't know what it's pertaining to, but it looks interesting. So when I did finally got the DVD and watched it, I was like, and then when I heard that music, it's like, oh my God, that's where this that Godzilla Raise Again music comes from. So I was like, okay, so it's fine. I'm already invested in it so far. Now, the simple fact that this film is like so many of those B-made movies, like The Beast from 20,000 Phantoms or 20 Million Miles to Earth, or even The Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's something about these films that has a lore that just keeps pulling people in, that we say we can't forget them.
That's right.
It's kind of weird, it's hard to describe because I mean, because when we was doing our top 10, favorite kaijus, when you saw that Kronos was one of those that I actually
Yeah.
particularly like, you was kind of like, whoa, that's your favorite. It's like, because in time you realize like he's very unique,
Hmm.
or you know what, and just to back it up, for any of my aficionados out there who might be on the non-binary spectrum, we can't say it's a he or a she. It's probably, doesn't have no sex, which if you think about it, really isn't, but
It's a
it's
machine. It's just
it's
it.
it's an it, exactly, or it from the whatever.
Hmm.
It's kind of original, knowing that this picture is one of those films that you wish would get more, or get played in more films in terms of being among people who are kaiju or monster lovers. I mean, you think, but I guess they don't look at it that way. They just look at it, just a plain old, monster film. I mean, well, the giant Gila monster was a plain old monster film, but it gained recognition. Got its stance, and as we mentioned with talking to Kevin when we did Tarantula on his channel, it's like
Hmm.
there's a film that's very high, but it was, it had low budget, but it gained such, you know, credibility. And this film should have that. But I mean, again, we can't say what will or what won't drag into people's mindset. But to go along with the film, this film is a film that came out, like I say, it came out in 1956. It was, as you mentioned, Regional Pictures, which was believe it or not, well, you already know, it's a subcontract of 20th Century Fox.
Hmm.
And it was directed by and produced by a man named Kirk Newman. I think I'm saying his name, Newman,
Yep.
who's actually German. He's German, and he directed this.
Hmm.
And the screenplay was written by Lawrence L. Goodman, but it was a story by, am I saying that
Irving
name?
Block.
Irving Block.
Hmm.
Now, before we go any further with, let me give out the names of the cast. We have Mr. Jeff Morrow. In fact, let me bring him up because I think we need to show this character. Yes, Mr. Jeff Morrow, and beside him is Miss Barbara Lawrence. You
Yep.
know, and also this gentleman here, the scientist that we'll find out, Mr. Elliot, which is played by, make sure I got his name right. It is John Emerald.
Emery.
Emery.
Yeah.
Emery. Thank you. Yeah, good. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. So
Yeah. Jeff
that's why I'm
Morrow.
glad that someone like you helps me out with that.
Yeah. I'm more than happy to. But
Yeah.
yeah, Jeff Morrow, the first main character you saw, I actually remember him in, if I'm not mistaken, it was in The Creature Walks Among Us, which is the third entry in the Creature from the Black Lagoon films.
Okay.
I may
And I
have to double
found out
check that.
he's in it's kind of funny. He's actually in the Black Scorpion, which we mentioned with another aficionado who starred in Tarantula, Miss Maura Corday, which
Yeah.
is she's just like, wow. I mean, I never would have known this woman got that much screen time until I saw Tarantula, and then I did some research. It's like, wow, she did a whole lot. But yeah, Jeff
Mhm.
Morrow, he is very well known, not just for this, but he's done so many other things that you wouldn't know that he's done around in his time, timeline. But no, getting back to I Ivory Block. Is it Ivory Block? You said I mean, I'm messing up his
Let me
name.
just double check that. Writers, story by Irving
Irvin.
Block.
Thank you. Why
Yeah.
can't I say it's such an easy name? Ivan Block. Okay.
Mhm.
Let me give you a whole lot of, but you probably already know, or who's watching doesn't know this. Ivan Block, he is the genius behind a film that came out a year prior to this, which was Forbidden Planet. You know, yes.
Mm.
And behind his background, he was an artiste. He's a special effects genius, I could say. He worked on certain things in the film Forbidden Planet, but he also worked on the effects for this film, which was, like I said again, very low key, very low budget, but very effective. The
Yes,
effects in here are I can honestly say the effects in here have a kind of unique, kind of charm to them, as I like to say. You know,
that's true.
you know. But like I say, we'll get to more into that, and we are going to talk about the film in slightly detail, but kind of give it an idea of what this film is really all about. Okay, the film kind of starts with, well, as anything else, we start with that classic music that we've heard in Godzilla Raids Again.
Yep.
And as you said before, it's a very good it's a very good thing you said it like this. It's a invasion in a different way. We start with this craft here, which looks like a, what's the best way to describe it? It looks like a upside
UFO.
down, yeah, yeah, very kind of flat football type of stain. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's it's very simple. It's
Yeah.
simple, not too over the top. I mean, although I can say that certain spacecraft that we've seen, flare saucers we've seen back there in the 40s or to the 60s, even in the 70s, they all have their unique way of looking. But this one here basically is, like you say, kind of a flattened football with kind of a crease around. I can almost say that it almost reminds me of the day the Earth stood still spaceship, although the top of it is a little bit more blown out, and the bottom is, like it's almost like they took two bowls and put them together, kind of simplifying but that's what it is.
And it's funny, that you mentioned bowls, because hearing that just now, you probably haven't seen this, Walter. I'll show you it some other time, but it reminds me of a commercial from the 80s. It was done by the people who worked on the Super Marionation shows by Jerry Anderson, and it was for dessert topping creams, and it has this invasion of extraterrestrial ships that are actually flying dishes like ice cream, semolina, and rice pudding, and they're all about to invade the Earth. But yeah, I mean, hearing that, what you were saying about the description of the UFO, that's immediately what it made me think about. And it's like, well, God damn it.
Wow. Okay. So I mean, that was wow. That's kind of interesting, because it's like you think of the simplest things, and yet it's like, oh man, it kind of registers and kind of sparks some kind of nostalgia or something that is actually in advertising or other films or whatever. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I like that, But yeah, I mean, because I think that's the other thing with some things like this. It's like something to register with your brain that can say, okay, this is what this is, and this is what is being shown. This is what we can say the human mind can register with everyday life, But like I say, getting back to the story, it is like I say, we see this UFO. It's like I say, it seems harmless enough. It's pretty big. In fact, I forget how big this thing was, like a mile or two long or wide. I can't remember exactly. But the simple fact is that this thing, we don't know if it's benign or just, ET's distant cousin. So, yeah, I mean, seriously, it's in cousin. So it like, it does a Predator moment where the ship passes over the atmosphere and drops some kind of, whatever celestial body, and it goes down, finding some kind of host to invade, and it invades this gentleman here. I forget the name of the guy, but he's just a typical driver. Yeah, basically he's just somebody who's typical driving, and that's kind of the thing about that. These films, like any other films in the 50s, or even, like I say, during that time to the 60s or 70s, is always some typical bystander driving or walking or whatever, and they happen to get somewhat, how's the best way to say, possessed, overturned, or just
taken.
Taken, yes. And this guy is driving down, his truck shorts out, which is not shorted out. The entity that invades him shorts it out and stops him. And when he comes to check and everything, he sees this light, and it just like kind of, I don't know how you can say it. I mean, it just like ravaged him, it just takes him over, but it does that. And immediately he is instantly taken to, or as I say, this entity, I don't know, it knows things. It's an intelligence that just knows to say, I need to go to where we need to get a certain bit of whatever we need. So we are taken to this facility, which is probably out on the outskirts of California, but it looks like it's out in Nevada or whatever, but it's actually near California.
Yeah, like Area 51.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, we can't say that because they say it's not real. That's the. But we know the truth. The truth is out there. You know. So,
Agent Mulder was right over the last 60 years.
Yeah, basically, yes, exactly. Yeah. So we are basically, taken to this facility, and we're introduced to certain characters. But first, we're introduced to this character, which is Mr. Dr. Elliot, played by, we mentioned John Emmerman. I did say John Emmerman, yeah. And he's, like I say, you think like, okay, villain type, but he's not a villain type. He's been invaded by this villain type entity. Takes him over when the other guy, comes into his office, and pretty much the entity comes out of him and just attaches to him, and it's like, well, there you go. You know, we're often running with whatever is coming next, you know, and we don't really know what's going on now.
No. And that's what I like about KRONOS. It wastes no time getting started. Once the opening credits begin, it hits the ground running and it
Yeah.
never stops.
That's good storytelling. I mean, it's like it's good to have a little notion of what is going on as far as the characters go or whatever. But yes, it's like, don't waste time with some banter. Don't waste time with a lot of filler. If you have the narrative to say, okay, let's start this off, get it going and do it. I mean,
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you another good example of who does this or did this in a film that's like totally does this. That's with Roland Emmerich when he did Independence Day. It's like
Mm.
you get certain characters, you get certain situations, but once we get started, it's like, okay, we're not letting go. We're on the handlebars. It's like we're riding this thing, and this is where this one does too, you know. And I'm liking that, you know. So as we find out, this character, Dr. Elliot, he's
Mm.
part of a team with along with these two characters, you know, in the film,
Yeah.
where they do basic research in terms of I guess of asteroids or just fields of, you know, energy producing whatever, you know, something like that.
That's right.
And crazy thing is, you know, I'll give it to you in a second, kind of go ahead. Talking about it, they're just discovering that there's a heavenly body that, and I guess that's the thing about this particular UFO that we see. We, you know, we think it's just some random, cosmic body, but as it turns out, they are been they've not so much searching, they've been looking at this particular, you know, celestial body for a while, and
Mm.
the doctor that's played by Jeff Morrow's character, he's like, well, it's shifted. You know, this other doctor comes in, you know, Arthur. Um, it's Arthur. I'm trying to make sure it's not Arthur. It's
Yeah. Yeah. I'll check for you. Hold on.
I'm not sure that was, yeah, Arnold. I'm sorry, Arnold. He
Yeah.
tells him that you know, this baby has shifted, and he's like, it's shifted. It's like, that's unusual. You know, you didn't think a body like that would shift because they discover like, and asteroids or meteors, making sure that it doesn't collide with the Earth, you know, or everything.
Mm.
So when they see that it shifted, you know, we discover that right around here, we see that it actually shifts again. They, like I say, they're looking on a monitor and looking at this, and at this time, we see flashing back to Dr. Elliot's room. You know, he's kind of like being told, just like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And Jeff Morrow's character, let me stop saying Jeff Morrow, let me call him by what his name is in the film.
He's,
Leslie,
yeah.
he pretty much says that, wait a minute, it shifted, it's moved. What's going on here? This shouldn't be like this, you know?
Mm.
So this is where he and Arnold, along with make sure I
Vera.
got Vera, thank you, Vera. They and that's another that's something about this movie here. We do have a love interest, which a lot of these films usually have. You know, it's always that typical trope. It's always that.
Yeah.
We see that she does, they want to go, she wants to go to the movies. She's pretty much telling, you know, Leslie, like, I like you, you know, we're in a relationship, and she wants to go to the movies. She wants to just have normal time, but it's like,
Yeah.
Leslie is too involved with
Mm.
this. I guess that just shows how work is more important than relationships, but in time he would kind of butter up and, you know,
Yeah.
everything.
I also
So
like how going to the movie is the little running joke throughout the film between the two characters.
it
It's like,
is that yeah, I like that. That's, yes.
yeah.
That's the thing. It is kind of funny because, like, you could say if you put that in the film or story, especially if this film, because this, and that's another thing, this film is only like an hour and 18 minutes long, very
Yeah.
short. So you ain't got to waste no time with a lot of banter and everything. But that's something that's always mentioning in the film, because even Arnold said when Leslie wants to go back and check some notes on certain things, he's like, I don't think he would have been like that film. It might have been a dud, and
Mm.
it's kind of hearkening to nowadays how films these days are very much a foreshadowing what they said then. It's like, yeah, most of these films we see now are pretty much duds, or put like this, they're remakes of junk we've seen already, and I'm just like, come on, you gotta give me something better than this.
Yep. I
So, but
mean, Planet of
it's
Dinosaurs, great
yeah,
B movie in the 70s, loved it. Then they unofficially remade it with 65, and it's like, oh dear. Even when remaking a B movie, Hollywood still drops the ball.
yeah. And this is why I say nowadays I'm fearful. And when you mention something about a remake of this, I'm just like,
Hmm.
I don't know. But to continue on, I'll let you jump on the ball and tell you what happens from here, where they're pretty much discovering what this celestial body is, to what happens next. So let you have
Right.
that.
Okay. So the characters notice that this celestial body, this object, is changing trajectory, and they soon realize, like, well, if this isn't a comet, but they still keep referring to it as a comet. The oh, let me just check the character's name again.
I know it's
Yeah, Leslie. Yeah,
yes.
trying to remember names. So yeah, Leslie and Arnold go to see Dr. Elliot and say that, oh, this thing is now on a collision course with Earth. It's going to enter the stratosphere and it's going to impact. We have to get the army to blow it out of the sky. And you can tell that Dr. Elliot is somewhat hesitant about this, since he's had the light of the entity infect him, but he plays along with the plan anyway.
Right.
And then we get, of course, the famous news headlines that
Mm-hmm.
I always keep on thinking of Gigantis, because again, every transition, it has newspaper headlines
Mm-hmm.
happening throughout the film, and it is very heavily reliant on that transition throughout most of the film. But it is what it is. I accept it, and I'm not really complaining. Then there's, of course, a stock footage montage of the
Yes, I was
U.S.
about to say
Air
thank
Force
yes.
a preparing an intercepting strike.
Mm-hmm.
They launch it. It hits the UFO and it comes down on off the coast of Mexico. And it's
Yes.
here that as it crashes, Doctor Elliot has some sort of a fake
Brain
out
spasm,
or
yeah.
an attack, and he
Mm-hmm.
just collapses on the floor. And the main character's like, "Go get Doctor Elliot. We have to see this." And then he stands in the doorway. It's like, he's right there. He's on the floor right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, you couldn't have reacted sooner. Maybe helped him yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you two grown men. I mean, pick them up and do whatever. Call security or whatever to get them, taken care of. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, that's. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, there are little things I do love nitpicking in this movie. Like after
mhm.
the truck driver takes over the doctor, and he's just slumped over there dead, and the guards find him. It's like, never mind the ambulance, better call the morgue. He's dead. And the doctor's like, get him out of here.
Yeah,
Okay, Jesus, and I was eating your ass.
yeah,
But
right.
fine.
It's like,
It's like,
okay, geez,
a man is dead on the floor of your office, and you're not going to question how he died or what his purpose was. You're not even going to call the police to do an investigation. It's like, yeah, doctor's orders. Just put him out the back, put him in the trash dump. Wait for the garbage van to
that's
arrive.
very good. Yes, that is a very good. You hit that spot on. It's like, it's just like, hey, just throw him the wind. And it's like, man, the coyotes will get him, and we won't worry about it. It's like, yeah, like, okay, compassion much,
Yeah, he's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah. After it crashes, Dr. Elliot's taken to hospital where he's drifting in and out of consciousness and responding to voices in his head. Meanwhile, the main characters go down to the Mexican coast to find this place's point of impact. The two main characters, they of course have their romantic moment on the beach in the calm before the storm. The morning afterwards, they see that where the comet has landed, there's this great big obelisk just standing there on the end of the land. Everyone's like,
Yes.
"Yep, there it is." Standing there, all imposing, like the monoliths from Stanley Kubrick's 2001, except
Right.
a lot more malevolent and the size of a kaiju.
Yes, very. And the funny thing is, it's kind of funny because this thing is only, from what I remember, it's like maybe 100 feet, a little over 100 feet in flight. It's like, well, that's pretty
Mm,
big. So we know that with that, it it's primarily, like I say, it's like when it settles in the ocean. I guess it's like I say, it's pretty much changes its shape. So once we see it that next morning, because we see it from the point of view of one of the people in Mexico, it's like,
mm,
me, I mean, like there it is, it's like, oh my goodness. So, and I want to kind of talk about this too, what we mentioned before of the effects in here.
yeah,
It's gratifying knowing that they still use the tried and true effects, or at least what was available at the time for them.
mm,
So, they pretty much like shot like this, where we see KRONOS walking for the first time. It's pretty much, you can probably tell it's animated. It's an
yeah,
animation. Okay. It's
yeah.
animation, but
Yeah,
it's effective.
it's a cell drawing on top of a static background,
Yes.
and it
And
is effective. Yes.
so it's see, they had to see now, and this is where I was kind of mentioned before, if they were to do a remake of something like this, which God forbid if they do, it's like, well, I mean, it's gonna be it'll be CG'd,
Mm,
but hopefully to give it a more texture in terms of it looks more like what they did back then. I mean, and give it kind of a gratifying thing about someone that, hey, we appreciate it and we're doing an homage to it. We're trying to make it seem like this is what it was. But again, Hollywood standard is like, we're gonna remake this and not care about it. And
yeah.
however bad it looks, it's like, fuck them. Don't worry
Mm.
about it.
Yeah,
It's like,
but this is the thing, because the design of Kronos itself, it's very simple, but at the same time, it
mhm,
stands out from what you would expect from the alien invasion genre. I mean,
yes.
yes, there's a UFO involved, but
Hmm.
it's not really a spaceship as such. It's more like a little capsule, like a drop pod. This
Hmm.
machine, this thing, is the real occupant, but there's no aliens piloting it per se. It's an intelligence acting on its own, like a sentient machine.
Yes.
Which is when I say that it's the alien invasion, but twisted on its head in terms of this machine, this Kronos, as it's named by one of the doctors that discovers it.
Hmm. Yes, no, it's true. I mean, Dr. Leslie was they actually showed it in a radio. When I say a radio, it's on television where the reporter mentions it through a
Hmm.
uh, radio transmission, and he mentions Chronos, which was the story of worlds and these things. And it's like, oh God, I mean, it's like it's kind of funny. Again, this is another one of those tropes that we see, especially back there in the 50s, where someone just randomly name something because that's what that person says, and it's like, well, we'll use that to describe exactly what this thing is. That's what it's called. That's what we're going to refer it to.
Hmm.
And like I say, you know when when this thing is standing there and everything, we focus back to Dr. Elliot, back when he's in the hospital, and as you say, he's going in and out of consciousness and whatever. And he mentioned, and there's something in his brain, whoever's taking over, says, start this thing up, start it to make it move, start to make it, do what it's got to do. So you see this little moment, it's not here, but you see this little moment where you get a close up of the legs there that's going up and down. And that's all miniature, that's all,
Yeah.
practical effects. And it's crazy how they did this so well. And
Yeah.
and I guess this thing is nothing more than a big old box with antennas and
Literally.
everything on it.
Yeah.
Yes. See, but no, when it's simple to move, it's simple to be, because like I say, the legs go up and down, I guess, to give it traction, but the
Hmm.
circular momentum gives it a chance to like just drag along, and I guess that's how it moves, you know. So
Yeah.
again, yes, it's a very unique way of it, how it drives itself, you know. And then we realize that when it's moving, the team pretty much says, okay, it's time for us to go and find out what's going on with this thing. What's going on? You know, we got to try to get as close as we can to it, and hopefully we can figure out what to do with it, you know, whatever goes on. And well, it's an interesting moment because they fly a helicopter near it and they land on it, and it's a good composition how the foreground of the KRONOS head, the top of it, is right there, and then we see the helicopter come in and it lands, you
Yeah.
know, wherever it is. You know, it's a good composition. So okay, they land on it, they're taking readings, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden, and this is such a kind of what you call a moment. All of a sudden, you hear this sounds like you feel it's like they get kind of stuck together, the three people, and it's like something is like, what is this? This is like something being sucked out of them or something like that. And it turns out, this is what's so crazy about this film. You don't know the genesis, you don't know the genesis of this thing, but you kind of find out this is nothing more than a energy collector, you know. Sucks up energy
Like
and
a vacuum cleaner.
yes, basically. And you see when he was doing that, you see these kind of like rays or whatever coming out, I mean, from the people. It was nothing more than kind of getting a, how can I say, sample of what energy is like. Because if you think about it, all human beings, well, really all entities on the planet, breathing, where to be, whatever, have some sort of electrical energy about them. We all have that.
Yeah, like bioelectromagnetic fields.
Yes. And it was sucking or sampling something from them, you know. So with that, we kind of discovered that this thing is not exactly what you call user friendly, because it's like, if this is something that's sucking up energy, it's like, okay, what the hell is it really here for? Is it really here to do some, you know, just studying, or is it here to try to ravage our planet? So we don't really know. So in time, we see that it, like I say, and again, I said this film uses matte paintings, models, and all this stuff. There's a good shot where we see its trail go across the land near Mexico. And again, and this is another thing you mentioned before, we are in, you know, stock footage alley. You know, we're seeing stock footage from different, in fact, some different films. There's a scene where we see this avalanche coming over, you know, and coming down on the, and I'm
Beast
thinking,
from 20,000 Fathoms.
yes, that's what I was going to say.
What came to mind.
I was like, and then when I first, I didn't really first see it. I kind of glanced, but when I saw it again recently, it's like, that's from 20,000 Phantoms, you know. So it's like, yes. So you see that, and you just see ravaged elements of buildings falling apart, people getting, oh god, people are getting trampled on. KRONOS, you know, it's like bam, you know, it's like bam, you know, it's like, it's just it's crazy. But we really see an incident where he goes to this manufacturer, but this electromagnetic, how can I say it? I'm saying it, but it's pretty much an energy, it's an electric company or whatever. It's
it's a power plant, basically.
Power plants, yes. Thank you. I'm trying to say the words, I can't even say it. I'm like, dude, that's right there in your face. We see that it is literally draining power from this particular facility, and in an instant, we see these brave souls, this Mexican military, try to destroy it and everything. It's like, dude, and the, you know, Arnold was saying, like, you're not actually, no, it was Leslie saying, you're not actually going to try to fight this thing. You're not trying to do something. It's like, we have our orders to destroy it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, boy, y'all about to lose this battle, you know? So it's a no-win situation. And then at the same time, all this is going on. We know that Mr. Elliot, you know, he's been diagnosed by another doctor, seen if he's mad or whatever. And during this course of during this course of this all this action going on, all this chaos that's going on, he's back at the facility, and the doctor that's diagnoses him, he's saying, he's having fits of delusions or whatever, and he's doing these recordings. So Elliot comes in there and said, "Doctor, give me that tape and everything." He's like, "You're not supposed to be up." And I love this. I love this moment. He said, "I cannot let you know. I can let you go by letting you tell people about these things." And then the doctor's got kind of, if you look at him, he's kind of frightened when he picks up the paper. He's like,
yeah,
he's saying this is true. It's like, well, you're the only one who knows now, and you will never tell. I just he runs away. The doctor runs away. Elliot grabs him, and he just primarily just shocks him. Just kills him like that. I'm just like, damn, dude, you are aggressive here. Whatever this thing is.
Yeah. Why is that even in his office in the first place? And how come after he's found dead, the doctor's released apparently on his own recognizance, but no one has questioned anything about it, and they don't even bother to check that the tape is missing from his record.
You know what? Now you bring now that you bring that up, that's a good point, because it's like, you do know there's a dead body here, and everything, and then the doctors mysteriously release. It's like,
what are you doing?
You can't put two and two together with that, and the only, and you know what? After watching it again, I realized, and now you bring that up, I never even thought about that until now, and I realized, like, this is a brilliant example of total, story armor. It's plot armor here. It's like you have to have that in order to facilitate what comes next, which is a brilliant example of just saying, hey, keep the story going and we'll see where it goes from there. But to continue on, I'll let you take it from here, from where we're at now, after he's pretty much killed the other doctor, and go from there. The story.
So it's then revealed that beneath the facility, from the opening of the film, there's this great big computer bank that is vital to the station's operations. The two main characters go down there. They find Dr. Elliot in there, and immediately they're suspicious of what he's doing in there, since he gave the green light for the US military to strike KRONOS with a nuclear weapon. And Elliot's like, the main doctor is like, oh, this thing just drained a whole power plant. How do we know nuclear weapons are going to have any effect? It might make him stronger. And Elliot's like, do you have any proof? No, I don't have it. So you have no proof. No. So, which is a very clever way of saying you don't have any concrete evidence of what you're saying. It's all hearsay. So, of course, the strike goes ahead. And while this is happening, the love interest gets a call from the hospital that the doctor was released from, saying that there's something wrong with the doctor. She goes into the office hoping to find the main character, but he finds Dr. Elliot instead. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else. And then Dr. Elliot's like, what did they tell you about me?
Don't lie.
What did they tell you about me? No one must know. Yes. And then he basically tries to dispose.
Yes.
Dispose of her, in which the main character comes around, wrestles him off, and throws him against another high voltage box that is immediate instant death the moment anyone touches it. But he's still somehow alive, but only just faintly exhausted, and which somehow means that he's able to temporarily break free from the alien consciousness. And without any prompting whatsoever, the woman turns on a tape recorder as Dr. Elliot starts talking about how the aliens have sent this machine because they have half of the equation of turning matter into energy, whereas we can turn energy into matter, or vice versa.
Right.
And then when he learns about this, he's like, stop the nuclear strike. And so the officer gives the order to stop the strike, but the plane is unable to divert course because it's caught in the there it is. It's
Yes.
caught in the magnetic pull of KRONOS, which is taking the aircraft toward it. It results in an immediate collision. The pilots are killed, and the exploding atomic bomb is then absorbed into KRONOS, having become much stronger this time.
And actually grows. That's another thing.
Yes.
It actually grows more bigger than it was before. I
Mm.
love that effect that all they did was just when we see the nuclear explosion, when we see it absorbing, and we see the mushroom cloud literally, just going back down, and it shows the effect of it sucking this
Mm.
pure raw energy into itself. And as we mentioned, like I say, because you actually can see while it's absorbing this, you see this, it's glowing, and you can literally see it like expanding, getting bigger. I'm like, it's getting bigger. It's like, okay, this is not a good sign of this thing. It's like, this is very, very bad, and then we
Yeah.
see that it stands. This is like I said earlier, but this is a
Yeah.
shot of when it's like a little bigger. And I think, if I'm not
This is
mistaken,
a really good shot.
yeah, I think it's
Mm.
a lot bigger in this shot that it's like over 200, feet
Yeah.
tall, a little bit way bigger. So it's like, yes, whatever it does in terms of whatever you do in shooting anything, such as nuclear or whatever, all it's going to do is absorb it and make it bigger. All it's doing is
Mm.
collecting energy. All it's doing is sucking up the life matter of the planet. So
Yeah. And the
and
ingenious thing about it is they don't even have to change the prop. All they do is that they just make it bigger by superimposing it
mhm,
in front of a background, which is a really good cost effective way on the special effects front of the
yeah.
production. And again, it's so simple, yet it stands out because of its simplicity. The design, I mean.
Right. I mean, this is the thing I don't get with, especially, I mean, back then, with little cost comes
Mm,
more ingenious ways of doing things, with far as special effects and everything. And I think that's the reason why I feel that, like with Jaws, Spielberg had to kind of be inventive in showing the shark in
mm.
an inventive way by not showing it, by doing certain things because it was having mechanical situations, with it and everything.
The
This
shark
is
is
an
not working.
example of, yeah,
Repeat, the shark is not working.
yes, it's definitely wasn't working. And I mean, and see, this is why I say back then, I think the B movies had a better course of how their films, or at least in storytelling, if they're trying to tell a story, how to best give the effect of what they're trying to project out there. Because you can, like I say, you can lose an audience real quick if you
Yeah.
just like, just throw it to the wall and it's going to stick, and that's the idea. It's like, no, you got to give it something more robust than that. And I feel
Halloween
like,
ends.
yes, I mean, and I think that's the reason why when you see, like I said, when you mention, all you gotta do is just superimpose the same, you know, particular craft, that particular model
Hmm.
over another background, but a little smaller background. You realize like that's all you gotta do. That's why I feel like you don't have to spend a whole lot of. I mean, it's okay if you have a certain amount of funds to do something, but kind of be ingenious with it. Kind of be somewhat where it's like, okay, where would the money best be suited if she
Yeah.
go here? You do it this of just like say, oh, let's just throw it all the way all through here, and it's like that's that really, And I'll mention one particular film that I can say right now. The newer or later Avatar films is like, yeah, they spending millions of dollars on this, but it's like, do you
Mm.
have a really good story? Okay, because I'm sorry to say, and I'm going to say this to my dying breath, you're just rehashing the same damn story. Okay, maybe the
Yeah.
technology is a little greater. The techniques of doing some things a little bit better. What you find out is this: the story is the story. That's what you're there for.
Mm.
You're not there for the spectacle. The spectacle is the story itself.
Yeah.
This the effects are just there to enhance what you're telling. And this is an example of that where I feel like it does it best because they didn't have that much money. and B movies of the times of the 50s did an excellent job, because let's be honest, you would not be talking about films like this even now if they didn't have some kind of relevant effect on it. What's up, Jake? How are you doing,
Hello,
sir?
Jake.
My friend
Hello.
there. Yes. Hope you're doing okay, brother. Yes. But you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, it's sad that Hollywood feels like everything has to be a spectacle in terms of their projection of what they're trying to do. But it's like you don't really have to do a lot if the story or characters is really there for people to watch, you know. But unfortunately, we already know that so many things that they do nowadays is temperament to thinking like this is how people are going to watch things. This is how people are going to respond to, like, yeah, I'm going to respond to something if the story is strong. I mean, when I saw the original Star Wars, yes, there was spectacle all around, but there was a strong story behind it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I wouldn't care less about all that. I mean, yeah, you sometimes you could get bored by that. I mean, crazy as it sounds, you could get straight up bored by all this stuff you see fascinating, but it's like, okay, is that it? You know, it's kind of like what the homegirl says in Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World. You say, yeah, you hear this where she says like, no, when Chris Pratt says like, hey, we got dinosaurs. That's enough. That's a like, oh no. Well, it's like, well, some people want more than that, and that's the kind of combination of how nowadays I think people get lost in thinking like that's what you need to do. But I'm getting kind of off track. But I mean that's kind of the thing about this film. This film is doing a good service by saying let's harness the power of we're telling a story. More. Yeah, less. Yes, thank you. Less is way more. I mean, I know some people want some, but sometimes less is really more. It really is. So,
like Alien.
Yeah. Yes. Very good point. Yes. I mean, Alien is an example of how you don't necessarily see the creature. You do sometimes, but what really infects this movie that brings out the terror, the kind of the sense of like foreboding, just whatever. It's the claustrophobia of it. Just knowing that there's something there, but you can't see it. And Jerry Goldsmith's music for that film really, yes, it really like says, okay, like especially that scene where Dallas is in the tunnels and you know the music's playing, and you know it's like, okay, you see a shadow, but is it there? It's like, get out of there. And it's like, that's not where it's at. It's like, that's what you're supposed to do to grab the people. It's like, it's that sudden, you know, gotcha moment. But it's like, did you really get me? You know? And in that movie did it better than, way better than these films they do now, because they're always doing jump scares. But it's like, we've seen this about 1,000 times. Give me something that's going to actually be hindering in my brain cell to say, I need this. I mean, because if you just give me jump scare after jump scare, it's like, okay, that's all you're giving me. That's all you're showing me. Yeah, I'm like, it's tiresome at best. And this is one of the reasons why I feel, you know, with technology, which money would come involved, but spend the money wisely. That's all. Spend the money wisely, and that's why I feel like you can more benefit from giving something that's going to be long lasting. Because let's say, as I said before, most of these B films back then, they should have died a long time ago. They should have died a death a long time ago. But as we see,
still alive today.
Yes, and they're kind of fighting fist and toe with some of the stuff that we see nowadays, and it's kind of like, you really wonder why they still have a lasting impact. Yeah, probably because they did it right the first time.
Yeah, you know? And here's the thing that Alien, I think, has in common with KRONOS. They don't give an explicit origin about the alien in either film. I mean, up until Ridley Scott retconned it with Prometheus, but that's a whole other that's a whole other car wreck in of itself. You know. Yes. But with KRONOS, we're not told anything about the origin. We don't know what the intent is, other than clearly toward the end of the movie to wipe us out, not through invasion or through annihilation, but simply through taking away resources. So it's not actually attacking outright, it's just taking what we
What
should,
is needed?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, what it needs, but it's also what we need as well. So it's basically an intergalactic thief.
Yeah. And as you said again, less is more. We don't need to
Yeah.
have a whole like. I mean, and I think that's a thing right there. Especially for American audiences, well, Western artists, they seem like they need an explanation where something comes from, why this is here. I mean, the first Tremors was another example where it's like, where do these things come from? I mean,
Mm.
Fred Ward says like from outer space or whatever. It's like, we never really get a full detail of where they come from until later.
Yeah.
Sequels come out. But that's the thing. You don't need to give no great explanation where they come from, how it's made, or everything. Things like that
Mhm.
leaves you, the audience, with some kind of sense of, okay, make up your own mind of where this originated from, and go from there. But
That's
but
right.
like I say, we'll get back to the story. We're coming to the climactic end of it, which is
Yeah.
incredible because we've discovered that this thing is able to absorb energy like a sponge, and it's like it ain't no way stopping it.
Mm.
So you mentioned before, she conveniently records Elliot's talk about how to transfer certain whatever to certain other states. Isn't it interesting that they have a recorder there? He does
Right
this.
then. How convenient.
Very convenient there at that moment, and I'm just like, that's okay. That's, hey, yeah, why not? That's no biggie. I mean, but it's like, that sure is very convenient that it's there. So,
Yeah.
but getting back, get to the fact, but to the fact is that okay, they re-listen to the recording what Elliot says.
Mm.
So, and in the midst of all this, we need to mention about Susie. This is
Yes.
yes, this is Arnold's little baby, or side
Yeah.
girl. She
Yeah.
she
Literally a
she crunched
computer.
numbers. Yes, but no, she crunches numbers and does all these things, and she's having like a spastic attack. During this time, especially when they're trying to figure out how you know we can do something about. And he mentions that, well, if something goes on, she kind of shuts down and kind of reverts back to, or just collapses altogether. Leslie gets an idea right then and there. It's like, why don't we do a kind of reversal of what it's doing? Because we see these little two antennas
Yeah.
on its head,
Mm.
which
One's mm.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one's a positive and one's a negative.
Yes,
Mm.
and again, simplifying it, but at the same time very effective. And
Mm.
he decides, like, well, if we charge this or change this to its polarity, literally eat itself alive. I'm like, well, that's pretty bold move, but do you have the resources to do it? As it turns out, they actually do. They actually have something that can do this, and it would be spot on where it's going to literally derive from taking this thing out. So, and and
Yeah.
we are close to the city. This shows how dangerous this is. Like ground zero now. We are
Yeah.
close to the city
Yeah.
when
I mean, if anything hits Los Angeles, it's the end of the world. That's
yeah,
the rule in these movies. Like Los Angeles, it is the very fabric of the earth itself. Protect Los Angeles at all costs, otherwise the whole world just spontaneously explodes and everyone dies.
yes,
It's
it's
like
like we
it's that
total.
one important city in the entire world that matters and no one else does.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we got New York, we got Chicago, we
Hmm.
even got maybe Miami, but it's like, yeah, Los Angeles, the city of angels. We
Yeah.
can't touch that. We got to make sure it stays alive.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was like,
there's so many other places to have to go and I mean, there's Louisiana, there's
mhm.
El Paso, there's Austin, there's all these of all the places that you could pick. I mean, hell, even Alabama, you
Yeah,
have to go straight to Los Angeles.
I mean, I guess and the funny thing is, Los Angeles is as big as it is. It's not the largest city in the United States. You know, that's why you
Oh,
think like, why would they still go to LA to do its damage? You know, but as we see that this is the final, countdown to
yep.
where the stakes are so high, and we see
Mm,
that as it gets closer and closer to, the rim of the city, it starts to drain the power from the city. So
yeah.
they decide that this is the best time to do something drastic. And in fact, I'll let you discuss because I think you can better narrate what exactly they do.
All right.
That actually makes it happen.
Okay. So they discover that one antenna must be a positive and the other antenna is a negative, and they decided that if they drop a uh, a special electrical device over Kronos, and it via a parachute, because it's not because it's not like a conventional aircraft,
Mhm.
they think that the electrical dispersal would disrupt Kronos' internal functions and make it turn its consuming energy in itself, literally eating itself alive. Meanwhile, Dr. Elliot is fighting with the Kronos presence in his mind. He locks himself in the basement with the supercomputer and destroys his key card so he can't get out of the room. And ultimately, uh, he basically dies. Like he slumps onto the floor. The consciousness comes out of his brain in the form of this liquid ooze, which, if you've seen
Mhm.
it in color, to me, the colorization, it just makes me think of Monster Drink for some reason. So yeah,
Wow.
it slurps out of his brain and it electrocutes itself on the floor, and he's left in the basement dead. Meanwhile, everyone else has completely forgotten about him and moved over to an air control tower, as you normally do, to inspect the final countdown to save humanity.
Mhm.
So they're watching from a control tower, and there's stock footage of the interstate highway leading out of Los Angeles, just showing normal traffic, but it's actually describing a bottleneck during a mass evacuation. It's like,
Right.
oh, so it's literally just like a regular day on the interstate out of Los Angeles. Oh, okay. But yeah, while that's going on, we then got to the important part. Kronos is literally just inches away from the LA limits, the city limits. The aircraft being guided by a weather station, because you have to factor in wind velocity and wind speed. Uh, it drops off the payment of the device via a balloon. It actually works, and Kronos literally starts tearing itself to pieces and burns from the inside, meaning it's the end of the alien machine.
Right.
And then, of course, everything's like, yeah, it's good. I mean, one of the main characters, think it's Dr. Arnold's like, well, I'm going back to fix Susie, then I'm going to get some sleep. In the meantime, you two can get a break and go to the movies, which they've
They-
been talking about throughout the entire movie.
Right. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
yeah.
that's
And it
a
ends.
subplot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. It
yeah,
ends like it's very
yeah,
abruptly, but very
yeah,
clean.
yeah.
You
It's
know.
very abrupt, and for some, it may be an underwhelming ending, but it's an ending nonetheless. And it ends with that cliffhanger cliche. It's like, will they be sending any more? It's like, well, if they do send any more, we're prepared for them this time, but I don't think they will. And it just shows Kronos as just a smoldering pile of steel and fire just burning away in the
Right.
sunrise, and the film shows the end credits.
And
There
that's
we
the end.
go.
Yeah. So it's very simplistic, but very effective at the same time. And it's like this is one of those films that I feel that, like I say, back then, especially it shows that all you got to take is a simple premise,
Yeah,
and just hopefully it'll bargain itself out by showing that, hey, it's not some creepy, it's not some like alien goo or some kind of scaly anything. It's something very simplistic in terms of its shape and form, and how you respond to it is how you respond to it. And like I
that's
say,
right.
It's a very, like I say, it ends just like that. It's like, but that's how many of these films back then did. They just ended just like that. I mean, Tarantula did that. I mean, I think even the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms did that. It's
Yeah.
a lot of them films just did that because it's like you came to watch something. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Make sure that the end is satisfying and you can respect everything that came before it. And to me, I feel this did this for me. I feel it actually did that. But all in all, KRONOS, what do you feel about it, Professor?
KRONOS. This is actually a very, very underrated, or albeit flawed gem of science fiction cinema. It presents an interesting premise that turns the basic alien invasion storyline on its head by presenting not so much an invasion force, but rather an intergalactic vampire, as the posters describe it as, which is literally just a machine that just sucks the energy dry of all of its electrical and nuclear resources. In terms of its soundtrack, it definitely does stand out among the science fiction library, with the same composers who would do not only the Lost World remake in 1960, but one of them also scored the music for The Black Scorpion before this film, believe it or not. Then, but yeah, the premise itself is a very interesting one. It's a very interesting story at its core. Will it see the light of day in either a actual legitimate re-release on like physical media, or will it be remade? Honestly, I don't think that is going to be the case, since this film is pretty much, if I understand it correctly, is pretty much in the public domain. I don't think anyone wants to pick up the rights to something in the public domain and then uh, make something out of it. But yeah, there is definitely some merit to KRONOS, especially in its special effects, with the design of the alien machine and also the composition of animated, practical, and live action and matte paintings all put together in such a meticulous way. And also, you just gotta love the newspaper transitions. Just gotta love it. And even the little inconsistencies and plot holes and things that make no logical sense whatsoever. But that's
Yeah.
part of this movie's charm. Now, if I were to rate it out of 10, I'd say I'd actually give this a 6.5, going on to 7 out of 10. In terms of the characters and the storyline, beyond the basic bare bones of both aspects, it's not it's not a very grand delivery. Like, they're not Oscar-worthy performances, but they are genuinely uh, good performances, especially with Doctor Elliot, where you can tell that he's both possessed but also conflicted at the same time.
Right.
The highlight of the film, undoubtedly, are the special effects sequences with KRONOS running riot throughout the American country as it inches toward Los Angeles. There's also some interesting science within the movie about the how the machine functions, how it turns matter into energy and energy into matter through electrical and atomic conversions.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5.5, no, 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Interesting premise, interesting design, and just overall a really a nice little twist to what you would expect.
So yes, I think that pretty much sums it. I mean, because that's kind of me. I mean, it, it's a say no film is necessarily perfect, but then it's not exactly bad in itself of what is put given to you. And this film is one of those
Hmm.
films. I mean, because it's one of those films that I happen to come across by accident, and thankfully that accident led to me really loving and enjoying this film and knowing that it's part of my you know subconscious. And I, like I say, I cannot say that it's it's not without its merits. I mean, because it's a definitely good film. And like you say, it's nowhere Oscar worthy. I mean, we can say it's not that, but it is something that is definitely something worth a watch. You know, it's worth
Yeah,
a watch. I mean, it's not something if you got about an hour to kill, it's like put it in. You know, you might be surprised. You might enjoy it. You know,
yeah.
but like
And
you,
also
I kind of
find some inspiration. Oh, sorry.
no. Go ahead. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
say, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, if any screenwriter who actually wants to make something unique, especially in this kind of genre, they would definitely find inspiration in this movie if they choose to watch it. And also, if they take notes, they could actually come up with something pretty good just from a movie like Kronos.
I would think so because I mean, there's a lot of things embedded in this film that I feel that is overlooked, and I think that's the problem. You know, that if you go back to square one, you might be surprised what you can find that would be inspirational that you can use
Hmm,
in future tense. You know, you'd be surprised you can take little elements and say, I can use this, and it'd be something different, and it would be something totally against the grain of what they're doing now. You know, it's like everything's got to be the same process and same old. I'm like, come on, do something. You can do something different. You got brains to where you can do something original, and you could probably be influenced by this. You know,
right?
it's possible. It's possible. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of like you. I would definitely give this a like a six, at least a seven, at least in my mind. You know, for this. So, but what you was gonna say though? You was gonna say something else.
No, I said what I need to.
Say what? I'm sorry. You said
Yeah, yeah. That
always.
that was yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just making sure you got your what you were saying out there. But
Yeah.
no, along the way, this film is one of those few that it stands the test of time. If it ever does get a remake, we'll never know. If it ever gets to get some physical media that's better than DVD, we won't know about that then because, as you said, it's pretty much out there now. So it's like we wouldn't care. So,
Mm.
but that going on to say, what do you got coming up, Daniel? That's on your channel in the future, whatever coming up.
Well, at the moment, I've started drafting a retrospective on the Aliens versus Predator as what began as a concept among fans at Dark Horse Comics, but then became its own thing, and then leads on to the uncertainty of where it stands now, with both Alien and Predator being their own separate things, with talks of a potential reboot of the whole AVP concept, but we won't know for sure at this point. But as I say, that project is very early on in pre-production and writing, so it's going to be a while before that comes to my channel.
Okay, cool. Well, for me, I got something coming up. In fact, I got something coming up tomorrow, which I'm hoping
Ooh.
that you'll be attending, which is the day after and Threads
Mm.
Cold War retrospective. You know, these are two TV made movies. Um, Unfortunately, one of our friends, Mr. Kevin Lambert, won't be able to join us. He's got things going on, but just understand life is going to intervene. But we'll kind of break it down with these two films and kind of discuss what about these films has such a standing, long lasting longevity about them because they're, let's be honest, I mean, both are different. They're both the same. They're both in the same cloth, but they're both very frightening. And just as we was talking about, Mr. Kevin
Hello.
Lambert, how you doing, sir? Hope you're doing quite well. I am okay. Mr. Professor is doing okay too. But we'll just kind of get a retrospect. It probably won't be too much, and yeah, gotta give him a shout out
Hello,
too.
Kevin.
Got to give him a shout out. But like I say, we got that, and then the following Saturday, and hold up, where we?
I recommend it, Kevin.
Yes, you'd be surprised. You might, yeah, I think you will enjoy this. I mean, it's short, but it's short and sweet. It's very, I think you'll enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
I think you will enjoy it, Kevin. I mean, I like say I got hooked onto it. I know Professor pretty much got hooked on it too, so you probably will too. You never know. And who knows? Maybe down the line, you might do a podcast about it on your own channel. Never know. You never can
Mm-hmm.
say. And then I'll
Yeah.
jump on there, and maybe the professor can jump on and say, "Yes, this is a good film," but you
Mm-hmm.
know, is it available?
Internet Archive and YouTube.
Yeah, you can
Mm.
you can find it on YouTube. You know, just pull it up and it'll tell you. I mean, just put up KRONOS. Uh, watch. Oh yeah. Well, we knew what you,
Yeah.
brother. We already know what you was talking.
Yeah.
No, we knew what you was talking about. I mean, look, everything is gonna look when we're writing, with speed writing, we don't really know what we're writing. So
Yeah.
it's like we know what you're talking
Or
about.
worse, if you're typing on this, autocorrect comes up every single time and just ruins everything, every sentence.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's not helping me.
Mm.
It's not helping me.
No.
But no, come next Saturday, and as he says,
Yep.
yeah, probably so. And I hope you, hey, look and say nothing wrong with that. You know, it's look, some things, some judgments could be talked on one person's channel, but hey, it could be done on another channel, and you might get some more robust things coming out of it. Yeah, never know. That's the whole that's the whole delight of knowing that we can be or part of something, and knowing that it influenced someone else. Because you got to remember, you, Kevin, you may not know this. You're one of the people who influenced me to branch out. And I will say this, I'll be frank, even Steven Seagal helped me to branch out. So we'll leave it at that. So, but anyway, no, but going back to what I was saying, next Saturday, I got something special coming up. And
Ooh.
hopefully it turns out the way I want it to. I mean, it's already well, it has. Believe it or not, it has. You know, it's funny how certain films collaborate to create some other films or influence some other films. But yeah, you'd be surprised what films for the past will influence the future. At least
Yes.
those ones who actually are dreaming, who actually have an idea and actually make it happen. Which I don't think they will do it because they're too fucking.
Mm. They're too wrapped up in member berries and CGI.
Yes. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. That's still
Mm.
I thank you for it. You know. But well, as I say too, as I mentioned before, I'll come next Saturday. As I say, some special, and I have a couple of these individuals that's going to be on here, but I am going to do a special Takasasu Corner event where I will have a couple of lady guests, and we're going to discuss how kaiju or Godzilla in perspective has kind of influenced them, and kind of like I say part of their persona in terms of how they look at things from that point of view. So, and it's going to be next Saturday around this time, which is around 5 o'clock my time, but it's different times because they're in different time zones, so it's going to be a balancing act. So we'll see where it goes. But other than that and I don't want to give too much away, but I do have other things coming up like Galaxy of Terror that will be coming up in the weeks to come. Which, if you never heard of that film, look it up. You'd be surprised what film that was inspired by. And
Mm-hmm.
there's something I got coming up with Anubis, where we're going to be talking about the retrospective of '80s hard rock music. Because we're pretty much 70, 80 babies. We were teenagers back in the day, and we listened to that stuff, and we're gonna kind of see how that influenced us to say how it influenced everything else, and we'll kind of give a perspective on that. So, but
Mm.
with that being said, I thank you, Mr. Professor, for being on here. I thank everybody who made the comments. Thank y'all for I thank you for the time and giving your total anecdotes on this film. It was great. You helped me out a great deal because I was getting what you call tongue tied and like
Mm.
total like, can you think on your feet, dude? Think.
Yeah.
You know. But thank you
Think,
again, and
motherfucker, can you do it?
exactly. Thank you a great deal. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, and like I say again, we will get that in there, dude.
Yeah.
No,
That's a good
dude.
one.
It,
Yeah.
brother. I, Oh my God! See that somebody's reading my mind, and I already had that on my mind. In fact, in the coming months, I was going to try to put that on my roster to do because that's a film I want to do. I think
Mm,
that's something that needs to be talked about. That's a such, and I love that film. I love Etrigan. I love it
yeah.
totally. But that's going to probably be like tail end of the end of this year because we start October in another few days, and from then I'm going to be on the ground running, just giving out great stuff, you know. And
Hmm.
well, hey, I mean it's okay, but I mean I thank you though anyway, and appreciate that. Yes, hey, well I'll get you on there, brother. Definitely, I'll
Hmm.
definitely get you on there. Yeah, but like I said, it'll probably be
Hmm.
down the line because it's like I say, it's gonna come up like maybe in like December or something like that, depending on how my schedule is. But we'll see. But hey, all in all, everyone, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Professor, for joining me for this.
It's a pleasure.
You, yes, yeah, because like I say, like you always bring your A game, and you always have the information that I need. Because sometimes I'll be like, "Are you thinking anything, dude? You're not even thinking nothing." So, but anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. We will do this again eventually soon, but for now, as I always close out when it comes to anything kaiju related, y'all take care. Y'all please be patient and deal with me, Professor. Always keep the kaiju love alive. All right,
Always.
y'all take care now. Peace out.